Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is Victory Monday. It was a hard fought win, but it's a Victory Monday nonetheless. You know what? You play to win the games, and we're going to talk about the game the Niners just played. Victory Monday. Happy Victory Monday. We ended the IG live and now I'm here. What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? How are we feeling, man? It's Victory Monday and I'm feeling good. I know a lot of people were upset that they didn't play a good game. The play calling was bad. Like, yeah, was it a perfect game? No. But they won. And at the end of the day, you play to win the games. And it was a team game. It was a hard fought game. It was a gritty game, man. I'll tell you. Like being there, the atmosphere was insane. The players, they gritted it out, and that's a game that builds character. These are the type of games that you're going to have to play later down the line. You're down in a game, you're not playing your best, but you somehow figure it out and you make those adjustments in the second half and you win. Again, I know the Chargers were banged up and people expect the Niners to have won like 40-10, but that's not always the case. A win's a win. Again, what did I say earlier? If the Niners were to go to the Super Bowl, imagine they win the Super Bowl and they win like 12-9 and it's an ugly performance. Are you going to remember that they barely won, or are you going to remember that they won the Super Bowl? You're going to remember that they won the Super Bowl. It wasn't pretty, but this is a game that you can look at, you review the film, and you're going to learn a lot. They were coming off the bye week, so maybe they were rusty. Maybe some of their players weren't 100% coming off the bye that were hurt, but they won. I know the Chargers were banged up, but they still have an elite quarterback, running back combo. Eckler and Herbert, phenomenal. They played great in the first half. And then again, the Niners made adjustments. Shout out to DeMeco Ryans, man. Back-to-back weeks where they shut out a team in the second half. No points allowed. It's a second-half team. They're starting to prove that. They battled adversity, and I think that was a character win. That's a game that's just going to build, strength mentally. They definitely didn't look like they were going to win that game. The play calling was definitely not the greatest, right? We talked about that. But hey, they hung on and won, man, and that's what matters. So you escape. You escape with the dub, and you know what? That is the biggest takeaway. You get a win, and you should be happy that your team won. Because if you lost that game, you're going to be pissed and you're going to be mad. And there's a lot to kind of go over. But the fact they won, it tells you, you know what? It wasn't pretty. They probably should have lost that game, but hey, they didn't. And that's a good win in the win column. Because again, that's a game that this team's going to look at and say, you know what? Man, imagine if we would have done this. Imagine if we would have done this. What if I ran my route this way? What if I would have caught that pass? They could have won 50-16. They could have put up a lot more points. So they're going to learn from that. And in the next game, they're going to be able to build upon it. So I don't think it was a bad loss or a bad win. It was a good win because they're going to learn a lot from this game. So, but yeah, man, the vibe was phenomenal. Levi's was rocking last night. Shout out to the faithful. It was a hype town. The fans never gave up. They were still hyped up when they were, making bad plays. So this fan base was really bringing the energy. Where at least where I was sitting, everybody was definitely hyped up. And man, oh man, that defense turned the tide in the second half. So Mario Gonzalez says the Chargers were healthy, they would have killed us. But yeah, hey, it is probably the case if they were healthy. You look at the game and say, man, I don't know if the Niners would have won it. But again, that's something they need to learn and build off of. They can look at this game and look at the film and say, okay, there's definitely things we can learn from and then build upon because they're not going to beat big-time elite teams down the future. But again, this is a game that could be similar to what they might see in the playoffs where you're struggling, you keep a team within striking distance, and that's what they did in the first half. They kept the team within striking distance, and they turn it around the second half. But you're right, if the Chargers were healthy, would they have been able to beat the Chargers? I don't know. It's tough to say. But hey, man, they did get the win, and that's the silver lining. They walked away, they escaped, and you need those wins. You need those types of wins. So Zach says we feeling good today. We needed a win. We definitely needed a win because again, it would have been very ugly if the Niners would have lost that game. And oh man, if you think it was like people were mad last night, even though they won, I could only imagine the vibe if the 49ers would have lost last night. Holy moly, because a lot of people were still upset. I mean, they were so upset, even though they won. Like, I get it. They left a lot of points on the board. They left a lot of to be imagined. Play calling. There was some bad play calls, and there were some times where you're like scratching your head. And Niner fans would have been really, 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 really upset about that game. But hey, they won. And again, you can learn from all these mistakes. What's up, my man, 49er Jeff? What's going on? Yes, it's Victory Monday. It was a very hard fought game. It was a gritty, gritty win. Again, tough, man. Chargers played really good down in Santa Clara. They played their ass off. They missed a lot of players, but they still are a good team. I can imagine how good this team really would have been if they were full health. So they played tough, man. They gave us a fight for sure. They did give us a fight. Khalil Mack is a monster, and man, he gave us his all in that game. But the Niners prevailed. The offensive line, for the most part, did what they had to do, except one man. We got to throw him out there. I'm going to talk about positives a lot today. But we got to throw out some negatives because there was some negatives, right? It wasn't an ugly win. It wasn't an ugly game, or sorry, it wasn't a pretty win. It was an ugly win. And because of that, there was some issues you got to throw out there. The first one, Mike McGlinchey, man. I don't know. I think the Niners definitely shouldn't bring him back next year. I know he's a good run blocker. I know he has some good plays here and there, but last night it was pathetic. He was getting pushed around all night by Khalil Mack. There were some plays where he just looked lost. He was a first-round pick, top 10 pick. And I just don't think he has it in him to be a good pass protector. I'm not trying to hate on the guy. I'm not trying to slam on him. I'm just calling it like I see it. And a lot of people have been. We give him the benefit of the doubt because he's a good run blocker. I get it. But last night was just bad, man. He was a liability. And it's not like he has some times where he makes some big plays. But the times he makes bad plays, the blunders he makes, it's at the most worst times of the game. It's like big critical junctions. It's like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? Oh, man, what are you doing? Just ugly. Unbelievable, man. It's just like, I don't know. It's just like watching trash sometimes. I don't know. That's the way, and I hate to say, you know me, I try to be positive, but it was bad last night, and people are coming at him. I feel bad for the guy because he's getting attacked left and right, and he has been. He was really exposed, and this is one thing too, because the Niners with Jimmy Garoppolo, they're a running team, right? We saw the stat where Jimmy Garoppolo's 10-2 when he doesn't throw a touchdown. Crazy! What kind of crazy stat is that? That is crazy. That tells you how much the run game is the vibe for the 49ers. They have to run the ball, right? They ran 41 times last night. Holy crap! What did I say? I said 30 times. 30, 35. They ran 41 times. That's amazing, man. But that is why they run the ball, because they know if they have to step back and pass more, that's going to expose the weakness, Mike McGlinchey, and he's going to get Jimmy cold clock. So they have to run the ball. And it's not even on Jimmy because he can't throw the ball down the field. He's improved this year. It's because you're exposing McGlinchey on that right side. If Jimmy has to step back and pass the ball 40 times, he's going to get bull rushed probably the majority of those times, 80 times, I would guess, from that right side. So you have to know McGlinchey's a liability. They have to run the ball. And when they can't run the ball, and when teams stack the box and they take away the run, you're forced to throw, and it's not always pretty, right? It's not always pretty. You get pressure on the right side, and then sometimes Jimmy's not making the best passes. So it's tough to throw the ball, with this team. But shout out to Jimmy. I do want to give him credit because he had another phenomenal game. I mean, it wasn't like it wasn't an elite game. Like you look at the stat line and it's like, 200 yards, no touchdowns. It was like, what do you mean he had a great game? He was very efficient on third down. On third down, there was a stat. I got to pull the stat up. He was like 6 for 8 or 6 for 7. What was it? Let me pull that stat up. It was damn impressive. I got to say, Jimmy Garoppolo had an impressive stat, and I saw it with my own eyes. I mean, third down, the guy was clutch. He was clutch money with it. This is it. So Jimmy Garoppolo on 3rd and 8 plus. So if it was 8 yards or more, he was 6 for 7 for 90 yards, 4 first downs, and a rating of 118.8. That's crazy. On the season, he's a 45.2% completion percentage on passes on third down of 8+, second best to Mahomes, who's 46.9. He's killing it on third down, man. I got to give him his credit. Last night was very, very, very impressive. On third down was like 3rd and 8. Boom, Juwan Jennings. Boom, 3rd and 12 to like Kittle. 3rd and 10 to Ayuk. He made some big passes. And then the Ray McLeod pass, a very nice dime. He comes up, gets pressured, he runs out of the pocket, and he throws it on a rope. I will say I was impressed. Now he needs to continue that, and that's what we've been saying. Can he stay consistent? That's what we hope for. Can he limit mistakes? And that's what he's been doing so far. Now I got to give him credit, man. Jimmy did play a good game last night, and again, third down, they extended drives. They kept getting the ball down the field, and then he was able to get it to Christian McCaffrey. He was getting it to guys like Elijah Mitchell. He stepped up. Brandon Ayuk had another phenomenal game in terms of being consistent. 6 catches for 80 yards. He had a little fumble. A fumble. He got hit. Derwin James. That play was disgusting. They should have flagged him, but they didn't. And then he had a drop pass in the end zone. That's again points off the board where people were saying, "Oh, the Niners need to score more. They need to call better play calls." It was a wide open play. He routed the receiver or the cornerback. Brandon Ayuk's route running skills are just, oh my God, he's so good. Got to hold on to that ball. But he made up for it later down in the game. He made some big third down catches, and he had the big catch that led to the CMC touchdown. So Ayuk definitely stepped up. He made up for the mistake he made early in the game, and he's been very consistent. Another 80-yard game, 4 straight games of 80 yards. Brandon Ayuk was very, very efficient, and I like what I see in Ayuk. Him and Jimmy are building chemistry. I feel like Ayuk was one of the tone setters. He was one of the unsung heroes from the game last night. Definitely needs to clean up that drop in the end zone. It was a pretty good thrown ball. That's something he needs to figure out because in that opportunity, I bet you he doesn't drop it next time. That was such a nice route, too. He took that defensive back and he cooked him, put him on skates, whatever you want to say. It was nice. It was very nice. They dropped it. And that right there was a big, big shift in the game. But, despite those mistakes, they still held on to one. So Brandon Ayuk looked good. And again, Jennings, I can't talk about Jennings enough. This guy was clutch on third down, just like Kendrick Bourne was a few years ago, just money on third downs and in the red zone. Although Jennings this year hasn't been that red zone guy that we thought, he's been a third down monster. Third and Jennings, moving the chains, no matter what, you give it to him and he's going to get that first down. He's a dog. So shout out to Jennings. And a guy that needs a lot of credit from last night's game, I got to give it out to my man, Elijah Mitchell. He came back, first game back off the MCL sprain. He missed 8 weeks. I didn't know how effective he was going to be. This guy was great. He was great. Elijah Mitchell, man, paced the backfield. He was the hot hand. And, Kyle did say in his press conference last night that the plan was to split it and give him a pretty good share. But he says as Mitchell started getting hotter, they just gave it to him. He was averaging more yards per carry. He looked good. And Mitchell was running very effectively. So I like what I saw. A great duo. Mitchell and CMC, as they continue to gel, the chemistry gets there, and Mitchell gets a little bit more healthier. I mean, that's going to be a dynamic running back tandem. So Elijah Mitchell, man, he killed it. He was very nice. He was a big-time key to this game, running so smoothly, following the blockers. And again, that was a bonus because I didn't know if he was going to be back and 100% healthy. He came back off the big injury, and I didn't expect him to be that sharp. I mean, he wasn't as fast as he normally was, but he was still effective, and he made some big runs. So shout out Elijah Mitchell, man. He came back and was a big key to this win. So let's take a look at some more of what you guys have to say. Stummy says, yeah, Niners missed 21 total points in the game in the red zone. And that's the thing is red zone efficiency, right? They did drive the ball down the field. So that's what I'm saying is they got the plays. They moved the ball down the field. But once they got to the red zone, it's like they stalled. I feel like sometimes they have too many weapons because you're like, who do you give the ball, right, to? Maybe they're just too many mouths to feed kind of thing. And Kyle's overthinking it because they definitely had opportunities to score more points, like you said, in the red zone. I mean, the fact you can't score with CMC, Debo, Kittle, Ayuk, Mitchell, and you couldn't put up that many, those points in the red zone, that's where you got to figure out. That's what you got to fix. So the red zone play calling, I definitely feel that was a issue, and that's something that's lacking. So I want to see them be better in the red zone. I really do, because you're right. 21 points that they left. They just left up there. And that's something that Kyle needs to fix. And I'm sure he's going to look at that and say, oh, man, I could have done this. I could have done that. I mean, there was a few plays. The Elijah Mitchell run, right? I think they could have gave that to Christian McCaffrey. He probably makes that cut. But also McGlinchey sold on that block. He was lost, like a lost puppy, like looking for his owner. It was bad. It was bad, right? Javon, so I talked about this last night briefly. When do you think they're going to get Kittle more involved? The thing is, they have a lot of weapons, right? You got Debo, you got CMC, you got Mitchell now, you got Ayuk, you got Kittle. There's a lot of weapons. Kittle's out there, but he also has to be, part of this blocking game, right? If Mike McGlinchey is the liability that we keep saying he is, Kittle's going to be out there and being that extra blocker. Kittle does a lot, I feel, to compensate for the fact that Mike's there. Kittle's being paid not only to be a tight end, he's being paid to be a right tackle, bottom line. So I feel like it's tough to say, okay, unleash Kittle when he got to stay back and protect Jimmy. Sit back in the cut and run the ball, help him run the ball. And they ran 41 times. Kittle's got to be back for that. So I don't think it's necessarily an issue of they don't want Kittle to be unleashed. It's just the game plan and how the game's flowing and the scheme of things. I don't think that, Kittle's always going to be a focal point. They have so many weapons. Debo has to kind of be a guy that they have to game plan, scheme him, and design plays for, right? That's a guy they have to get involved. And then you have CMC. He's just so effortlessly good that, check down comes. Jimmy sees him, and I don't know how many times I saw it last night. It was like, he's looking up, check down. Check down to CMC. And that was a money play for him. It kind of helped spread the ball downfield. So it's easier, I feel, to kind of go and give that check down to a guy like that. And he's building really good chemistry, Jimmy, with Brandon Ayuk. So I feel like he's looking for Ayuk a lot now. As where in the earlier part of the season, it was like, oh, Ayuk's open and he's not looking for him. He's looking for Ayuk. I could tell they're building that chemistry nicely. So Eric says, we got a ton of weapons. The most clutch is Juwan Jennings, making $400K this season. He keeps making big plays like that. If he keeps clutching it up, Eric, he's going to be making more than $400K, right? 100%. Laura says, biggest surprise, Mitchell. He looked on point. Yeah, we just talked about him. Mitchell was nice, man. He was definitely a good, pleasant surprise. I didn't expect him to be as sharp as he was coming off the injury, but, man, he was looking good. Let's go, Ryan. He says, just ordered a Fred Warner jersey. Let's go. Let's talk about Fred Warner show. Let's talk a little bit about the defense. We'll come back to the offense. Defense was the reason they won this game. I'm not going to even lie to you. Second straight week, they shut out a team in the second half. I mean, Fred Warner was flying. And I feel, and I said this last night, that they used the Dre Greenlaw ejection as a rallying point. They were probably so pissed off when they came out in the second half that they were like, look, we're going to win this. We're going to win this for my boy Dre. When I saw them come out in the second half, I saw them coming out of the second half out of the locker room, and I was like, oh, they look pumped. They were jumping. They had a vibe to them. Like, you could tell, like, they had like that look in their eye. I was like, uh-oh. They look dangerous. They look like hitmen. And they played like it. Second half, I mean, man, Jimmy Ward played better. He was locking it down. Mooney Ward was great all night. Fred Warner was phenomenal, flying all over the place, and Oren Burke stepped up. He made some big plays. And then my man, Nick Bosa. Let's talk about Nick Bosa, man. He was a hero of that game. I mean, he had 9 pressures, 9 quarterback pressures. This guy, Nick Bosa, is like first or second in all pass rush statistics. This guy had 9 pressures. He had like 3 quarterback hits. He had a sack. The guy was in the backfield, 4 defensive run stops. The guy was everywhere. Nick Bosa was everywhere, man, just killing the game. You got to love it. That was the type of game that I wanted to see out of Bosa on prime time. Remember I said here the other day, key to success is Nick Bosa has to have a big game on prime time, and he did. He delivered on prime time. Nick Bosa was nice with it, man. He was very, very good. That was a big performance. He needed that to kind of stay in that Defensive Player of the Year hunt. But not only that, just so the Niners could win, because they had a tough quarterback to play against, and they were in Herbert's face on that. And credit Nick Bosa. And I got to tell you, man, a guy that really stepped up that didn't get a lot of praise so far, Charles Omenihu, he was an underrated part of that win last night. I think he had 3 pressures. He had a sack. The guy's been phenomenal all over the place. And I think he was a very underrated part of that win. Unsung hero, Charles Omenihu, he was flying, man. He's been very good. I don't know if they're going to be able to keep him this offseason. Him and Samson Ebicam both are going to be free agents. They're both going to try to get some money, man. And Charles Omenihu has really played great. And I think he's going to get a nice little contract wherever he goes. I hope he stays with the Niners. He's been nice. And another guy that came in, oh, God, another unsung hero, Jordan Willis, man. The guy was all over the place. I liked what I saw out of him. His first game back, he had knee surgery early in the season. He was on the injured reserve. But I tell you what, Jordan Willis was nice last night. I like what I saw out of the guy. He was kind of sitting in that backfield too. Him, Bosa, Menahu, they had a nice little, rush going, and that really helped out the loss of Greenlaw in that game. And again, Fred Warner played at such a high level. You got to love it. And a shout out to Talanoa Hufanga. He started the game off a little slow, right? He missed a big tackle, and it led to a touchdown. But he stayed with it. He stayed sharp. He made the adjustments in the second half, and he had the game-sealing interception. Talanoa Hufanga, ladies and gentlemen, is number 2 in the NFL in interceptions. Hey, second year in the league, he's already tied Jaquiski Tartt for career interceptions. I'm going to throw that stat at you because there's a lot of people that always say, we should go get Tartt. Talanoa Hufanga is him. Him, daddy, him, baby. 4 interceptions this season. He's already tied Jaquiski Tartt's 8-year career. No disrespect to Jaquiski Tartt, but Talanoa Hufanga is a lot better than anybody gave him credit for coming out of the draft. Everybody says he's not good at coverage. The man has 4 interceptions, second in the league. Shout out to him, Talanoa, man. Big time interception. He read the play. Big interception to seal the game. And again, he started off with a bad little play, and everybody was ripping him up. Mentally, he's sharp, man. He's strong. He stayed with it, and he ended the game on a high note. So, big Huff. Big Huff, man. Gotta love it. Jason says, Jennings is my unsung hero. Yeah, he was good. Willis was good. Yep. Herbert suffered a concussion. He might have, man. He got his bell rung. That play where Greenlaw hit. So I'm talking about that play. That's so silly. That God, man. That play really. I mean, the fans were just going crazy. It was like pandemonium in the stadium last night when they ejected Dre Greenlaw. I feel like it was not a great call, but at the end of the day, they did what they did. But they just didn't seem like they were making consistent calls, right? It wasn't inconsistent to me because you had a guy, Brandon Ayuk got leveled, right, by Derwin James. Debo got a face mask. They didn't call it. It just weren't called. If you're going to call plays, you got to be consistent. And I'm sick of my stomach sometimes when I see these refs. And I don't want to sit here and blame a game on a ref or whatever. Niners won, so it's not like we're putting any blame on them. But that was a bad call. That was definitely a bad call. But hey, it is what it is. Free Dre. Spell it backwards. You know the vibes. Dre Greenlaw definitely was missed, but the defense stepped up in the second half for him, and they played a hell of a game, man. Dre was on a pace to have like 13, 14 tackles in that game. He was flying, man. He's so aggressive. Dre Greenlaw is so aggressive. That guy, I would never want to mess around with Greenlaw. That guy is a monster. And did you hear what Jimmy Ward said? He goes, he does not like running quarterbacks. He says, I can't wait for Kyler. If he's going to run, I'm going to hit him. He says, don't run. Don't run. Don't run. I'm telling you, man. The Niners don't like mobile quarterbacks. They got a mobile quarterback coming up this week, Kyler Murray. And if that's what they did to Herbert, they're going to try to take out Kyler Murray. Jimmy Ward says he tries to kill him. He says he tries to kill the quarterbacks. God, man. Jason says, Greenlaw shouldn't have been ejected. Ward hit Herbert from behind and changed the angle, and Greenlaw turned his back. Yeah, exactly. It was kind of like a ricochet play, kind of like a bang, hope, movement. Ward with the hit. Greenlaw comes, and it changed the trajectory of the angle. Simple physics, right? And unfortunately, because of how it ended up, they thought it was a blatant, and it was just shitty. But Niners won despite of it. I feel, he's probably going to get fined or whatever. You know how the NFL is, but they got to protect the quarterbacks, and I understand. So it sucks, but it is what it is. Yeah, Hood Life said the defense is on fire. Definitely on fire. The defense came up, man. Definitely nice to see. So the refs missed 2 face masks. They didn't call the touchback on us. Yeah, the refs were just very inconsistent. When Ayuk, Sharia says when Ayuk fumbled that, should have been head to head. Yeah, I agree. Derwin James got away with that one. I was crazy, man. Definitely crazy to see that. But hey, at the end of the day, Niners overcame those issues and they still won. So it sucked. It did suck to see that kind of stuff. But refs got to play better. They got to officiate better. And that's the bottom line. But, those things happen in the game, and it sucks when it happens to your team. Thankfully, the Niners didn't lose, because if the Niners would have lost the game and it would have been because of poor officiating, that's when it really stings. Like it stings to lose, but if you lose because of something like that you could have probably prevented, that's even worse, man. So, Stummy says the refs had bets in Vegas. Rick G says, on to Mexico. On to Mexico, my man. I'm excited. Mexico next week. Niners, Cardinals. This is a big game. The Niners are 5-4. They win this game, they go to 6-4, and they stay undefeated in the NFC West. Are you kidding me? They'd be first place. They'd be first, but they are right behind. They are right behind the Seattle Seahawks. They're nipping at their heels, man. I cannot wait to play the Seahawks. So, Sharia says, now, Raj, me and my buddy were having a debate over Kyle. Should have went for it on 4th and goal, and I said kick the field goal and force them to drive the distance. He said go for it. What do you think? I think both methods could work. If you force them to kick, if you kick the field goal at simple points, and you have to let them, try to test your defense, and the defense was playing good, so I don't think it's bad. And I think with Herbert not having Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, I think the defense would have gotten it done. They were playing on a high point. Momentum was at a high. But again, if you go for it and you miss, they got to drive even longer. They got a longer way to go. So in the end of the day, if it was up to me, I would probably try to go for it. Put the big time points. Be aggressive. Take the lead by storm and just be very aggressive. Because if you go up a touchdown, that's hard to overcome. So I would like to be aggressive on 4th and goal. I get it. Taking the points is the easy way, and it's the safe, conservative route. But I want to see some aggressiveness. Because, again, if you don't take the points there, they got to go 99 yards against your defense that you think – if you think your defense can hold them right after a field goal and they got to go, 80 yards, it's even better if they got to go 99 yards, right? So I say take the points. If you miss out, they got to drive the whole field from the 1 yard line. And that's not easy. So I say take the points. Try to go for the – I mean by take the points. Try to go for the touchdown. But I don't hate the call to take the field goal. It's an easy, conservative route. And you just trust your defense. So Scuba C says Jimmy Guacamole. Yeah, Jimmy played good, man. We talked about him. Jimmy played good. I like what I saw of him. Made some throws. That throw to Ray McCloud on the sideline, that was probably one of the best throws I've seen Jimmy Garoppolo ever make in his career. How was it dime? That was a dime. Ryan says Shanny did have some questionable calls. Yeah, I was scratching my head a lot. Again, we talked about it in the red zone. You have CMC, Debo, Kittle, Ayuk, Elijah Mitchell, all those weapons, Jawan Jennings. Like, you have all those guys, and you can't punch it in. You got to credit the Chargers. They played a hell of a game, but still, they're banged up. They don't have J.C. Jackson. They don't have Joey Bosa. You should be able to score in the red zone easily with that lineup. And I do agree is the play calls could have been a lot better in that red zone opportunities. They left a lot of points on the board, but I am happy they won. You escape again. You escape this game, and you learn a lot from it, right? Ray pass was insane. Stummy says I missed the jet sweep. Yeah, I do miss those. I haven't seen a jet sweep in a good minute. It is nice when they do that stuff, but I don't know why. But as Kyle wants to be like that and change his ways. Maybe a lot of that was installments from Mike McDaniel. Who knows? So one of those things that we don't know. But I don't know. Sometimes Kyle overthinks things. He gets very what's the word? He gets very predictive. He does get predictable, and then sometimes he just gets stale. When he goes off script, I feel like sometimes he doesn't always have the best play calls. When he goes off script. When he's on his script, he kills it. But again, it was a week where they're coming off a bye. They have all this talent too. So one thing you got to kind of consider is they have a lot of talent on that team, and they haven't all been healthy and played together. I feel like they're all still figuring things out. The more they start playing, the more they'll figure out where they need to be and their assignments and just start gelling. Most of these guys haven't played together because of the injuries. Like Kittle missed some games early, Debo missed some games, Elijah Mitchell's missed games, CMC's been on the team for 3 games, right? The one consistent player has been Brandon Ayuk, and he's been the best player on this team. So it makes you think like, okay, Ayuk and Jimmy have been playing pretty much together the whole season, whereas everybody else has kind of been here and there, missed some time. They're all still kind of figuring things out together. Jimmy and Ayuk have been very consistent because they've played the whole season together. So the jet sweeps are in Miami. Yeah, I agree. Fern says the Bills Vikings game felt like a Super Bowl game. Oh, that game was crazy, wasn't it? That was a vibe of a game. That was fun. Imagine having watched that game live. Whew, was a fun game. Do I think they need a big back for goal line plays? I know they have TDP, but they didn't use him. Maybe he's in the doghouse. I don't know. I feel like they just got to get a little bit more creative in the goal line. They have the players. Like CMC should be able to power it in. I just think that the play calling sometimes was just a little, lacking at that moment. But again, you have CMC. He should be able to power it in on the goal line. Would it be nice for them to have a big bowling ball type guy? I agree, and I think TDP's that guy. But for whatever reason, they don't want to put him in. Jimmy's nice on the sneaks. If they need to sneak it in, I feel Jimmy's pretty effective in that play. So I don't know. I think they have the running backs they need on this team. CMC and Elijah Mitchell are both good. Blocking, like I said, there was one play where they gave it to Mitchell. McGlinchey missed an assignment, and he looked lost on the play. So some of it's blocking. Maybe sometimes it is giving it to the proper guy, proper usage of a player. Because, again, on that play with Mitchell, right, I feel like if you gave it to CMC, he probably gets it in. I don't know. That's just the way I felt. Let's see. Deuce says, I feel like Jimmy doesn't have the freedom to change play at the line. There were times where the Chargers clearly stacked the box. I feel like maybe I do think that him and Kyle have a little bit more freedom together. I feel like their chemistry's gotten better because that's something a lot of people have talked about is Jimmy and Kyle on the same page? Do they hate are they beefing or whatever? We saw the lip reading video. I feel like sometimes he does kind of hold Jimmy back sometimes, but I feel Jimmy's taken a little bit more freedom this year than he has in the past, and I think he is kind of throwing it more than he wants to, throwing it more than Kyle would want to, and I think that might be Jimmy. I think he's speaking up, but also too, the run game is such a key element to this offense that sometimes they don't want to stray from that, and I think Kyle forces that, and he stresses it. We have to run. We got to keep running. And again, I think the other issue is we talked about it earlier. There's such a liability on the right side for McGlinchey that if you put them in certain situations, certain play calls, it's going to expose that. So you're working around all that, But I do sense that there still might be some control going on with Jimmy and Kyle, not letting him make those adjustments at the line because you don't always see Jimmy making hot reads and audibles like a lot of quarterbacks do. I don't see it all the time. I feel like the play's called. This is the play. Okay, let's go. Let's go to the huddle. Break. Boom. Let's call the play. I don't see Jimmy making a lot of audibles. I just don't see it. Mitchell was a beast. And Ford, I did have a blast. Thank you. It was a vibe. Appreciate you. What's up? Man, that was a fun game. Definitely a good experience. Rick G says, I like Mitchell and CMC, but I see they struggle hitting that goal line. Yeah, they did a little bit, but they should be able to. I think they're both capable enough of hitting it. But, one guy they lost that I think is a bigger loss than maybe we kind of anticipated, well, maybe we didn't. Jeff Wilson Jr., because he would have been that goal line back because he was the guy that would always score in the red zone, right? He was their money touchdown guy. He led the team in touchdowns several times. He was a big time guy. Like the guy in 2020, that year, he was a phenomenal scorer in the red zone. Every time they needed a touchdown, he'd give it to Jeff Wilson. He'd punch it in. They did lose him. And I think that is a massive loss. I know he was only going to be third string. You have this guy Mitchell and CMC. They're not going to be, held behind Jeff Wilson. But, man, this guy is thriving in Miami. Guy is killing it. He had like 100 and something yards yesterday and a touchdown in Miami. This guy's the real deal. I think a guy like Jeff Wilson, if he was on the roster, he definitely would have punched it in the goal line. That's the guy we're missing. Yeah, Jason says having McGlinchey whiff on a block, it's not going to help. We did have to have a running game to beat the Chargers. Jimmy cannot throw. They ran the ball 41 times. That's crazy. And again, I don't think it's necessarily always on Jimmy. I want to give him credit where credit is due because he has shown some growth. He's improved this year, and you got to give him credit where credit is due. But I think a lot of it is they have a liability on McGlinchey. So if you have to step back and throw, that liability is going to be there. So it's not just necessarily Jimmy. It is Mike too, who gets blown up, and then boom, that's going to put pressure on Jimmy. And when Jimmy's pressured, that's when he's Saturday Night Fever, disco dancing Jimmy. Oh my God, staying alive, toe tapping Jimmy because of the pressure. And that's why Jimmy isn't like the greatest quarterback. He's so flat-footed. So if he has to get pressured, he's going to be running away. He's going to be running for like into a sack, basically. He's not a quarterback that's going to escape. He's not Justin Fields. He's not Trey Lance where they could run away. That's why they got a mobile quarterback, so they could run away and kind of create on the run, right? Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, those type of quarterbacks. If they feel pressure, they can escape, boom, keep scanning, throw downfield. Jimmy's not going to do that. So if you force him to be a passer, Mike McGlinchey is going to get thrown on the ground within 2 seconds. Here comes pressure. Jimmy he's scrambling. He's scared. So I feel that's the issue. That's the big issue. That's the issue. That's the issue. I like this play, comment, flat plane. Jimmy knows the offense well enough to call his own audibles. He does. But then going back to what the comment was earlier is Kyle going to let him throw the audible out? I don't know. I just don't see him doing it enough. Maybe they are, and I don't see it. But I feel like Kyle still wants him to say, here's the play, call it. I don't audible out of it. Don't. I feel like they have the play. They execute. A lot of their plays are scripted at many points of the game. So. McGlinchey going heads up with Khalil Mack. I don't. That's an excuse. Just because it's Khalil Mack doesn't matter. You're a 4-year first round pick. The man was the number 9 pick in the NFL draft a couple years ago. I don't care if it's Mike McGlinchey. I don't care if it's Joey Bosa. If you're in the NFL and you're a top 10 pick in the NFL draft, you got to go out there and hold your blocks, man. That's. I honestly don't care who he's getting matched up against. He's also a pro football player, so I don't see it, man. I don't see it. You got to step up, make those blocks. Yeah, definitely nice to have Trent. I like having Trent. I wish he was on every spot, but Aaron Banks played good. He has no sack. Shout out. Didn't even talk about Aaron Banks yet. This guy has 9 games, and he has not allowed a sack or a quarterback hit this season. That's phenomenal. 9 games. And he has not allowed a sack or a quarterback hit. Like, this guy's been great, man. Very unsung hero this year. Spencer Burford's playing nicely, too. I mean, those guys have really, really, really blossomed. Banks and Burford, man, those 2 guys have been really nice. They're very, very talented, and they're going to be very good offensive linemen for this year for years to come. So we're not worried about those 2 spots. The guard spots are going to be good for a couple of years at least. Trent Williams, he'll hold it down for as long as he can play. They got to figure out that right tackle spot. And Brando, he makes some good plays. He makes some bad plays. He's like a roller coaster. He's up and down. But, he makes some plays that makes up for his bad plays sometimes. So, shout out to Aaron Banks and his dad, 100%. Yeah, Drips, I love the way Jennings. He's tough, man. He's a dog. He's physical. And again, he kind of came out of his shell last year in the second half. He kind of broke out. If you recall last year, they made a big run in the second half, and a lot of that had to do with Jennings being a reliable, chain mover. And I feel like we might see Jennings start to become that professional chain mover on third down like we did at the second half of last year. So. 49er Jeff says, do they still use microphone in the helmets? That's a good question. I know some teams do. I don't know if the Niners do. That's something we got to look into. That's a good question. I'll figure that one out. If anybody knows, do they still use the microphones in the helmets? I'd like to know. That's something that's a good question. I'm not too sure on that one. I'll have to look into that one. Definitely let me know if you guys have the answer to that. G-Tech says, thoughts on how loud Levi's got in the fourth? Whoo! It was so loud, G-Tech. Like, I've been to Levi's a lot. I've been to many games. That might have been one of the loudest games I've ever heard. It might have been the loudest. Like, it was crazy. People were screaming at the top of their lungs. Like, it was just a madhouse. It was just pure red and gold enjoyment, excitement. just screaming, man. They were so loud. And again, shout out to the Niner faithful, man. The Niner faithful, not only do they travel well, but they support this team so like the Niners, like we love this team. I get it. We all want to see them win a Super Bowl. You could just see the passion out there. I know other teams, other fans love their team, but man, maybe I'm biased because I'm a Niner fan too. But God, man, the Niner fans poured their heart and soul. They do it every game. But last night, man, it was just such an electric atmosphere. Like they were so high. They wanted this win. The Niner fans wanted this win. It's been 2 weeks, right, since we played the bye week, and it felt like 3 years. And I feel like every Niner fan was like, God, we haven't seen a game in so long. We want this win. And they were absolutely electric, G-Tech. It was such a vibe. Like it was loud in there. Like no, but you could not even hear yourself think. It was loud, man. Definitely phenomenal. It was phenomenal. How much is a beer now? Depends. Anywhere from $10 to $20. It depends where you go. It depends on which vendor you get to. The most I've seen it is $20. Talk about Debo. We'll talk about that. Let's talk about Debo because he hasn't looked like himself this year, right? He just seems like he's lacking that burst. He just doesn't have that burst off the line. He's still trying to beat you and bully you. He just doesn't have that same quickness, that same like explosiveness that we're used to seeing Debo. It's not that he's lost the step. I just feel like, and he said it too in his documentary. He touched upon it. Like he really knows he missed some quality training time with this team. He did train, but it was at a limited basis because he had to kind of keep himself preserved. They had a contract situation. He couldn't just risk himself and get hurt, trying to get a contract situation. And that thing kind of went so deep into the offseason that I feel like that kind of set him back. And he's like still catching up to where he needs to be. He's definitely not in the form he needs to be the guy he is. He's still a phenomenal player. They designed some planes for him, but he just doesn't have that like that oomph, off the like as soon as he used to get the ball, it was like boom, he was gone. He would just snap. Now it's just like a little slower. Just get a little hesitation. And again, you see the emergence of Brandon Ayuk. Him and Jimmy are building such a chemistry. It's like chemistry will take you so far. And I feel like Jimmy's looking for Ayuk because he feels safe with them. It's not that he doesn't feel safe with Debo. I feel like he just knows that connection with Ayuk's growing and he trusts him and he's starting to build that trust. You start building trust, it's going to start, coming up. It's going to start, you're going to start feeling it and you're going to be like, all right, I like this guy. I'm going to keep getting it to him because I know I can trust him. And that used to be what him and Debo had. But I feel like, now that he's building with the Ayuk, it's kind of taken away from Debo. And he has had some drops too. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. He has had some drops. And those things have hurt his stats overall. I still think Debo is a big part of this offense. He's definitely still the catalyst. You got to keep feeding him the ball. But he definitely has kind of lost. I feel like he's lost a little explosiveness this year. I think he'll get it back as soon as the season continues to grow. Because, again, he didn't train. So I still think he's like a few weeks away from where he needs to be. The hamstring injury didn't help him either. He did come off, a hamstring injury. He was playing off of that. I know they had the extra bye week, but you got to realize hamstring injuries are tough ones to deal with. So he may not have been 100% himself last night against the Chargers. But I think eventually he'll continue to get better and kind of get back into form. But yeah, he does have some explosiveness I've seen lacking. I'm not gonna lie to you. So. Maybe Debo partied too hard at the Warriors game. Maybe he did. 49er Jeff says he's held at a high standard. That's a good question. That's a good comment too. I like what you said there because we expect Debo to go out there and put up like 100 yards every week, 100 yards bare minimum. So I see what you're saying is we expect big things out of him because what did he do last year? He put the team on his back though, right? And we saw him, he'd come out, have a 60-yard run, 100-yard run, or like 100-yard scrimmage game, like big games. You're like, oh man, Debo too tough. Like he put this team in a huge position. He was that guy last year. We want that same thing this year, but there's a lot of mouths to feed. Ayuk is building, he's getting that chemistry, like we said. So I feel like because we have such high expectations for some players, when they don't hit those expectations, we're like, what the hell happened to him? He's still a very important part of this team, But you're right. We have high expectations. He was an All-Pro last year. Like, we want him to still be at that All-Pro level. I think he can get there, but again, him not having, gone into his full training like he normally would, and the emergence of Ayuk, I feel there's a lot of factors, but those two really, I feel, are the ones that really have limited where he's at. And also, too, dealing with the hamstring injury, that's not a fun one. So F50 says that first half, the team was still in bye week. Yeah, they were, man. I'm glad that, it's funny. I said that at the game. I was like, is this team still on the bye? I remember sitting there thinking to myself, I was like, are they still on the bye? It feels like they are. But they woke up, I think, at the locker room at halftime. One of the coaches maybe say, hey, guess what, guys? We're not on the bye week anymore. Wake up. And they did. And shout out to the team. Second half adjustments were clutch money. Yo, DeMeco Ryans, I can't talk about him enough. Good damn. He's such a good coach, man. And a lot of people criticize, he's terrible. Man, he made those adjustments. Second week, 0 points allowed in the second half. Shout out. Debo needs to lay off the candy. Don't hate on the Mike and Ikes. The Mike and Ike. That boy been popping them candies, right? Oh, it's funny. Do I think Debo will hit 1K? 1K rushing yards or receiving yards? I don't think he'll hit 1K in either. Just the way it's going, there's too many mouths to feed. I don't think he will. I don't think. Yeah, wait till the playoffs, says 49er Jeff. He'll be in perfect form once and that's it. If he's back in 100% form by the playoffs, and Debo goes crazy in the playoffs, then that's all we need. That is it right there. Like, yes, he may not be the guy we expected him to be in the regular season, but in the postseason, if Debo is Debo, and he was the Debo he was last year, and it takes all year to get there, that's all that matters. He can be the weapon that pulls us to the Super Bowl. So, 100%, I agree. G-Tech says, do you think CMC will be able to roll with this split workload? He's been the bell cow since he got to the league. I think it's great for him, honestly. Something we talked about when we got him is one of the reasons why I think he will thrive in the Bay. He doesn't have to put the team in, his back pocket and carry them, right? Where he did with Carolina. The guy broke down every year because of just going in there and getting like 250 carries, something crazy like that. I think it's good for him to have a split. He may not be able to kind of hit his rhythm every time, but he's a talented player. They're going to figure out ways to scheme him and get him the ball. Like, there were so many times last night where he ran and it looked like a 2-yard run, and then he buttery smooth to make a cut. And I was like, how do you make that into 6 yards? He's good. He'll be fine. I think the split actually benefits him so he doesn't get hurt. I just think the one thing is he going to be able to get in a rhythm early? The game last week against the Rams, that boy definitely got in a rhythm. So I'm not too worried about the split. I think it helps him 100%. But, yeah, good question. Carr crying. Boy, Derek Carr, boy, was someone tweeted. I don't remember who tweeted it. Was it Grant? Grant tweeted. I think he says this man's more cringe than Russell Wilson or something, more corny than Russell Wilson. Yeah, I mean, come on now. 1K scrimmage yards for Debo. 1K scrimmage, yeah, I can see that. 1K scrimmage, let's go with that. Yeah, 100%. Debbie says CMC smooth as a fresh jar. Skippy, that boy is so smooth with it. He's so smooth with it. My boy CMC. Shout out CMC. We rocking the shirt. Buttery smooth, man. I'm hyped up. I had my CMC jersey yesterday. Fanboyed out for big CMC. Big ups. I love him. He's fun. Makes his team fun. It's funny. Every time he touched the ball, like everyone's like, oh, like that's how much the fans love this guy. As soon as he would CMC, it was crazy. Flat Plane, another good comment. He says, no player in the history of the players has a huge game every week. Watch Rice highlights and you see greatness. Watch the games and you see pounded out catches. And sometimes even he was shut down. Yeah, you're right. Sometimes even the best don't go crazy every week. But, I feel like we do expect so much from Debo. And I think by the time the playoffs come, he'll be balling out of control. So I'm not too worried about it. Are we going to beat the Cardinals? Ann says, hey, we are going to beat the Cardinals. We're going to manifest it. We're going to be positive all week. We're going to beat the Cardinals. They're a team that do play the Niners very tough. I will say that. You know, that's a team that is a division title. It's a division game. You can't take them lightly, but I think the Niners are going to win this game. I just feel they're going to ride this moment. They got some games. They know they have to win. And like Kyle said in his victory speech, I really like what he says. He goes, it wasn't a pretty game, but you found a way to win. These are the games you need to win. Like that, they know they left a lot on the table. They know they didn't play the perfect game. They know they didn't, go out there and get a beautiful win, but it was a win regardless. And that's a game they're going to be able to look at and say, okay, if we want to go out there and go to Mexico and prove a statement, we need to do better. We need to score more points. We need to execute better on, the red zone. And I think they're going to come out and they're going to put it all out there and beat Arizona. Arizona's in shambles. Kingsbury is horrible right now. He's probably on the hot seat as we speak. Kyler Murray, I don't even know if he's going to play. He had an injury yesterday. He didn't play. Colt McCoy, former 49er legend, Colt McCoy might be there. He has beaten us in the past, but Kyler, if he plays, he just hasn't taken that leap. He got paid, and now I think they might regret that. Him and Diop last week, they were yelling at each other. The Cardinals are shambles, and they're falling apart in front of our eyes, and I love to see it. So do we beat the Cardinals? Yes, we're going to beat them. We're going to be celebrating in Azteca, and it's going to be a Mexican fiesta, and Fred Warner and all the boys, they're going to be dancing, and you're going to see Spencer Burford. Remember when Spencer did the little salsa dance in training camp? We're going to see Spencer Burford doing the little Mexico celebration. I already predicted. I already see Spencer. He's going to have a sombrero, and he's going to be dancing, and it's going to be a great Victory Tuesday after next week's Monday Night Football game. So that's the way I feel. Cliff Queensberry, Ryan, exactly. What's up, 49ers Throwback? I'm doing good. How are you? Victory Monday. How are you? Appreciate you for stopping by. But yeah, the fields in Mexico, I'm not sure how the fields are, but I know it's a high elevation. That is something that the Niners have to kind of plan for. I think it's like the altitude is crazy. It's crazy. We talked about this before. The altitude in their stadium is insane. So that's going to be something that, the Niners have to kind of game plan for. That high altitude, I think the altitude is worse than it is in Denver, in Mexico City. So definitely an impact on this game. So what's up, Mello? Be Mello, my man. Fern Dog says McCoy looked good against the Rams. Rams are just terrible. Am I gonna rock a sombrero? Hell yeah! You know what? I should wear a victory sombrero. A victory sombrero, baby. Yep, Manuel, Ayuk and Jennings. We talked about them. Clutch Money. They were good. Smash the toe Rogans up. Let's go. Oh man, I'm excited. I'm happy we won. Matthew Paul says Smitty's gonna be crying. I haven't talked to him about the game yet. We've been texting about stuff, but I haven't talked to him about the Cardinals game. I kind of didn't want to, mention that one to him. I'm sure he'd be a little upset. But Gold Blooded says, anyone still worried about Seattle? I'm still worried about him. I think Tampa Bay woke up. Tom Brady divorced Tom Brady. He's owning the NFC West right now, and I feel like Tom Brady, man, he's happy about football again. You could see he's changed it. He flipped the script. He's divorced. He got rid of Giselle, and he hasn't looked back, man. The guy's happy. He's taking care of his kids and taking care of business in the NFL. So Seattle ran into a buzzsaw. Divorced Tom Brady, man. The guy's he's playing like a different animal now. So shout out to Tom Brady doing us a favor, taking down Seattle. It's still going to be a tough game. Nothing changes. There's still going to be a battle. Debbie says, Mexico City elevation, 7,349 feet. Woo! That's altitude right there. Check that out. Will we get a Victory Taco Tuesday? That's what I'm hoping for. Victory Taco Tuesday, baby. Rick G says, Kenneth Walker is a solid quarterback, running back. We need to stop him and Geno. Yeah, at the end of the day, they're still pretty solid, Tom Brady, again, I feel like he's woken up and chose violence since he got divorced. Yo, you know what? I saw somewhere on Twitter that Giselle's already dating someone, some Taekwondo dude. Like, come on. She's already moved on from Tom that quick. So she was planning this. She was probably cheating on Tom. Shout out to Tom. I'm on his side. Giselle's already found a guy, and she's with the kids with the new guy. It's a bad look. I'm not one to gossip. Maybe I am because I'm a Taurus. But, Tom Brady, Shout out to him. He I'm glad he got divorced. If she's already moved on, take out everybody in the NFC West except the Niners. Tom Brady, man. I don't know. Just read one of these investments went down. That money going to be right. Ryan says divorced Tom Brady is a different, but to win 8 Super. I hope he doesn't win a Super Bowl. I want to see him in the NFC Championship and beat him. Let him pass the baton to us. But yeah, divorced Tom Brady. Shout out, man. Manuel says, any update on Armstead and Kinlaw? Not yet. We'll probably get one from Shanahan today when he talks to the media. So we'll see what happens with that. Right now, there's no exact updates. Kinlaw's on the injured reserve. He's supposed to be able to come back this week, but you got to realize, flying up to Mexico with the altitude we just talked about, I don't anticipate Javon Kinlaw coming back this week. I really don't. If your altitude's up that high and he's having issues with swelling in the knee, it ain't gonna happen. That's my guess. Armstead, we'll see what happens with this week. Again, he is returning off of 2 foot injuries. We'll see how that goes. Again, Shanahan will let us know very soon today. So, any other notes, any questions, any comments, any players that I might have left out? Who do you guys think stood out? You guys let me know. Gold-blooded. So what happened to Stafford and Murray? They both were injured last night. I think Kyler had a hamstring. Stafford had a, what did he have? Did he have a concussion or was it the elbow? I know he was out. Both of them were definitely out. So injuries plaguing them. Unfortunate for them, fortunate for us. But yeah, both of them were injured last night and couldn't play. Bring your own oxygen. That's right. Yeah, Jason says Stafford had a concussion. So yeah, that's what I thought. So Stafford concussion, and Murray had a hamstring. That's what it was. It was a hamstring issue. Cooper Kupp got injured too. Yeah, Rick. That's what happens when you're the only damn receiver on your team and nobody helps you. So I feel bad for Cooper Kupp, but shout out to the Rams. They didn't really do anything to help him out this offseason. Allen Robinson's mid. It's not a guy that's going to help out Cooper Kupp. The Rams are in shambles. Love it. Taco Tuesday next Monday. That's right. It's going to be Taco Tuesday if we win that next Monday. I hope to see Taco Tuesday. And I'm going to use the LeBron meme if we win. I'm 100% using the LeBron meme on my Victory Monday post. Or sorry, it would be a Victory Tuesday. I already got it planned out. Let's hope it doesn't backfire because I feel like whenever I plan posts out, it doesn't happen. So what I've been doing now, this is what I've been doing. I plan for like a loss. I have a folder set up for like losing posts and winning posts. So that way I can't jinx myself. Because if I'm like, oh, these are good memes, I got to post it. And it's all victory like memes, we lose. And I'm like, fuck. So now I have both. So it's up to the team. It's not on me. I can't jinx them anymore. So 49er Jeff says, I wonder how much the Dre Greenlaw fine is. Oh, it's gonna be crazy. That fine is gonna be wild. They usually announce fines on Saturday. That's usually when the league kind of has everything reviewed and they release their fines and everything. That's their fine schedule. So we'll probably end up learning by the end of the week, and I'm predicting it's gonna be stupid money, and it sucks, man, because he definitely shouldn't have been fined. It sucks. I think Matt Barrows posted what the fine, like they explained it. Let me pull that up and let me explain. He did tweet about this last night. I just never got around to talking about it yet. So this is what Matt Barrows tweeted. So the senior VP of officiating, Walt Anderson on Dre Greenlaw, says the runner was a downed runner. He was already down by contact. If he had other choices in terms of his actions, we felt like the actions he took were flagrant in nature, and that was the reason for the disqualification. Are you kidding me? Because he was a down runner and he didn't have a choice in where he was moving. But I mean, the problem is if you think about physics, he got hit by Jimmy Ward, and that caused him to come forward. And then Greenlaw Was he going to stop in midair? Was he going to go like be a superhero and say, go, gadgets, time freeze? Like you can't freeze time. If your momentum and your trajectory is coming, and then all of a sudden an object gets pushed in front of you and that trajectory changes, it's going to be a collision. It's going to be a collision. NFL. Unbelievable. Oh, breaking news from Ian Rappaport. Wow, this is a big one. Zach Ertz has suffered a season-ending knee injury, a brutal reality for Arizona and its veteran. Again, breaking news, Zach Ertz suffered a season-ending knee injury. Whoo, that is big. That is big news for the 49ers heading into AZ. Whoo. Damn. I hate to hear that. You hate to hear injuries. Injuries are never good. And that sucks, man. Unfortunate for Zach Ertz. He's a great player, and he was a big part of that Cardinals team. It's tough. A couple other things I just saw. So, breaking news from Adam Schefter 6 minutes ago. The Cardinals have informed running back Eno Benjamin, who started for them when James Conner was hurt this season, that they are releasing him, per source. Whew, imagine that. You're coming in, you running back, and they just tell you you're gone. So the Cardinals have released Eno Benjamin, and they lost Zach Ertz to a season-ending injury. Another tweet here by Jeff Deeney of PFF says, since the beginning of 2021, Jauan Jennings has been targeted 27 times on third down. He has 20 receptions and has converted 18 of them for a first down or a touchdown. Oh, my God, Jauan Jennings, Mr. Third Down. Woo! Third and Jennings. That is crazy. 27 targets on third down. 18 of those have been for a first down or touchdown. Shout out to Jauan Jennings. Go. Wow. Third and 1. Wow. That's it. That's the show. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. I love you. Third and Jennings. Third down and JJ. But you know what I need from Jennings? I need touchdowns out of my boy. I don't want first downs. I want touchdowns. I should have bet Smitty. I should have bet him on first downs and not touchdowns. I would have won that bet like that. I should have bet Smitty on first downs, not touchdowns. Let's get justice for JJ. He needs some touchdowns, not just first downs. I love you guys. Have a good rest of your day. We'll be live later tonight after the Monday Night Football game. We'll be talking about Arizona already. Yeah, it's going to be officially Arizona week tonight. You know how we do it. The moment the game ends, we start hyping up next week. I love you. Have a good rest of your Victory Monday. And you know what? Don't let anybody bring you down today about winning, because I saw a lot of people on Instagram when I was on their live earlier. They were talking about, oh, the Niners need to play better. We fucking won the game. Excuse my language. We won the game. Bottom line is, you won the game. You play to win the game. They got it done. And they won the game. If you win the Super Bowl and you barely win, you still win the Super Bowl. Nobody's ever going to remember that you barely won the Super Bowl. They're going to remember that you won the Super Bowl. Remember that, ladies and gentlemen. It's Victory Monday. Enjoy the win. Rub it in to all your friends and family members that are not Niner fans, because the 49ers won and their team may not have, especially if they're Charger fans. I love you guys. Bang, bang. Niner gang. Hit that like button.